Is it what it seems? But for some reflection then on that very question, on the meaning and significance of the meeting between the President and the leaders of opposition parties, I'm joined in studio by ENCA political editor Vuyo Mvoko. And Vuyo, a rare but much needed and important moment of agreement across political lines in the country.
I mean, indeed, Tembegile, we hardly see, this sort of thing. So it was important to see the country's leaders, political leaders, saying, look, we are behind anything and everything, that will help us fight this thing that we've never experienced before. So a rare maturity that I think all South Africans welcome, because it's so uncharacteristic, but more importantly, it's something that needs to be done at this particular moment. But here was the irony. While the president was getting this support, unconditional, certainly from what those politicians said today, on the other hand, you had his own comrades basically sabotaging him, in the sense that on the one hand, you have his own minister allowing the, the Professional Soccer League to say, play your matches. I suppose, they have to take the decision at the end of the day, the soccer bosses, that is, which they said they were going to do this week when the Board of Governors meets.
There's a meeting on Thursday.
Yes. But on the other hand, I think the Minister of Sport missed an opportunity to impress upon them that there is no magic in the 100 people who can assemble. That what is important is that there must be as few people as possible who can meet at any one place at any one time. And add to that the fact that soccer is a contact sport. So these people, hit each other, shout at each other. We've seen them even spitting, at each other, God forbid. But those things do actually happen. And the minister wasn't there to actually defend the spirit and letter of the restrictions or the decision to impose the restrictions that government has actually imposed. Go to Ekurhuleni as well. The mayor there, Mzwandile Masina, decides to convene a meeting to deliver a state of the city address. Here's a city that has more than 200 councillors. That's now outside of the bureaucrats and other people who had jobs to do today. How do you do that when already your president, the government, has actually said, keep the number to a minimum, to 100. That's if you have to. Otherwise, the less people, then the better. So I think there the president really, has to do something, because, it's not a situation that should be tolerated.
And just on Ekurhuleni, what was also interesting from that session is you also had a mayor now speaking about money being set aside to procure what he described as a vaccine for COVID-19. But the reality is, as we sit here, yes, Cuba has a batch of medicines which they say can help treat conditions similar to COVID-19, but if the country were to procure medicine for COVID-19 specifically, one would imagine that the National Health Department would have to take the lead on the messaging.
On that, that is precisely why there was everything wrong with what Mzwandile Masina was doing. Because on the one hand, it gives credence to suggestions that the stuff he and a few other people close to him put out yesterday was basically laying the ground for what may happen. And the ultimate intention is to really have them lay their hands on whatever monies may have to be made available later on for the procuring of medicines that can help us out of this crisis. But secondly, what both him and Nathi Mthethwa also did was to play into the narrative that the president is actually not in charge, and that the egos of certain ANC politicians and their selfish interests is what they care about more than anything else.
So as we move ahead over the coming weeks, coming days, more big meetings with the president, and it's going to take more than just political leaders speaking on this to make sure that the rest of the country moves in one direction.
Indeed, and tomorrow morning the president is meeting with religious leaders. Now, I mean, over 70%, over 74% actually, of South Africans are religious, you know. So they listen to what their priests, their imams, and all the leaders of the various religious groupings have to say. So it's important for the president to also get their buy-in, especially when you consider the fact that Christians over the next few weeks have to go to all these big gatherings. The churches get filled up. You have people, you know, going to faraway places where they engage in all these festivities that take days. So it's important for this the religious community to be convinced of the need to actually perhaps postpone these big gatherings this time around for the safety of everyone else.
All right, ENC political editor Vuyo Mvoko, thank you so much. And you will be watching that meeting between the president and the religious leaders tomorrow.
Indeed, we will be keeping an eye on that, yes.
Thank you so much.